Hello, welcome to the next edition of Sweet Competitive Lists. I got 5 O's. Today I got 5 decks that have brand new cards in them from Thunder Junction. Now, we're going to start off with the more simple decks and get into a little bit more of a spicy or quote unquote spicy decks. Mainly, these are main decks that have been in the format for a while, but they got a huge improvement or they have a new take on their archetype. So, we're going to get into it. If you like if you like sweet competitive list. I got 5 O's. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Go for future videos. We're on our way to 1,000 subs. We're less than 100 out. Let's get there together and let's get into it. So first on my list is a simple mono red Wizards deck. Deck picked up Show Off. It's still playing Soulstar's Mage, Lava Runner, and Swift Spear. So decent one drop selection. This deck is to have a better wizard on turn 2. So we get to keep our wizard's lightning, which is basically a lightning bolt. If Skewer, light up the stage, mixed with a single copy of Reckless Impulse for card draw. Then we have our another premier one drop with Kamuna. Rage, which is an amazing card in aggro decks. And then we have Play with Fire because it's just the best burn spell for 1 mana, besides Wizard Lightning in this particular deck. Sideboard, though, we do have 3 tiers of Valakut for Phoenix and Vampires, 4 Ferocidons for the Amalia matchup, and Angels potentially, if 3 Volleys for Spirits, whatever you want to do with that. Also mono white if that's relevant. 3 Case of the Crimson Pulse for mid-range, and Frenzy also for Shieldred, and potentially also it does deal with the Shredders, also deals with Vein Ripper. So like I said, the case is really good for mid against mid range, like and control, so we can pitch some of our worst performing cards for those and hopefully get card advantage and keep going, turning through our deck, finding more burn spells. That is mono red Wizards for Pioneer. Let's get into the next list. So next on my list is Gruul Aggro. I featured a similar deck a few days ago, or yesterday. The primary thing this deck picks up, of course, is still Show Off, Slick Shot Show Off, but this deck tries to utilize Breakout and Atarka's Command. So it's a little bit different than the previous version. I do think this deck should be playing sub number of Atarka's Command. It also utilizes Bushwhacker to hopefully go wide, fast, and smash face. We still have our premier one-drop spells with Soulscar Mage and Swift Spear. And then we have a 4 Questing Druids, which is a reasonable card. It's not the greatest, but we also have some show-offs, which is just the best 2-drop. And we have BTE because it combos nicely with Bushwhacker. Otherwise, pretty much similar extra cards, other than, like I said, the Breakout and the Atarka's Command. Sideboard, we do have Pick Your Poison as our choice for removal of Atroxa and Vein Ripper. 3 Volleys for potentially, mono white, blue, spirits, stuff like that. 1 Scorching Shot, pretty good against children. We have 2 Unlicensed Hearse for Graveyard Heat. 2 Urbraz Forge for mid-range. It's pretty in control, where we kind of want to just, play this down, get incremental damage. So Braths are a lot harder and plus they're artifacts, so Get Lost does not get them. So keep that in mind. And it's 3 mana, so also, Temporary Lockdown doesn't get it. 3 Damping Spheres for the Lotusfield matchup to make sure we get underneath them in time. That is our Gruul Aggro deck for Pioneer. Let's get into the next list. Next is a interesting take on Nib Omnath. Bring to Omnath. So we do have our Omnath over here. This is an 80 card deck with a Yorion. We do have the brand new Jace Reawakened because we are trying to maximize with 3 Valkyries, so we can maybe get that on turn 4 or 5, whatever, along with BTL, so they kind of do a double fold there, so it's pretty relevant. Otherwise, this deck tries to maximize off of Riveteer's Charm for Graveyard Hate, and card draw, which is really important. 4 Bindings because it's a really good exile-based removal. Up to Beanstalk for card advantage. We have Thoughtseize main, 1 side looks like 2 main, 2 side, so that's pretty good. Then we have our Buzz Crusher as a tutor target for BTL for the Lotus Field matchup. We have our Brant package with Caryatid and Fable the Mirror potentially. And adjacent to that, it's also card filtering. We have a little bit of sweepers with Clarion and Sunfall, which Sunfall is an exile-based sweeper, so it's really potent, especially in today where there's people trying out new cards which have really good die triggers. So having exile-based removal is important. And then we have Ego for the combo decks, so that's pretty powerful. Sideboard, we have 2 more Chain of the Rocks in case you face a deck like Niv or something like that where they don't necessarily win at instant speed, so it's pretty important there. Big creatures. 2 Dovin's Vita for control matchup. 2 Notions Thieves also potentially for control, also Phoenix. 2 Seed Sharks, good for against aggro. 3 Mystical Disputes for counter spells against control and tempo. And we have Quake Bringer for prevent life gain. Then we have our Ashiok for Graveyard Hate for the Phoenix and Fang matchup. But also prevents Amalia's Cord, which is quite important since they can't tutor. So that is 5-color BTL for Pioneer. Let's get into the next list. Next on my list is Bring to Niv, I should say. This deck is built around, of course, Bring to Light getting our Niv Mizzet, which finds the brand new card Pillage the Pog, which allows us to dig double based on how many lands we have, which is really nice. The other card this deck is trying out is Lilla, Undefeated Slick Shot, which, all your multicolor spells get, can be cast again for free. So this deck tries to maximize off that. It's a pretty good fit for this deck. Later on in the season, I will be trying my own version of this deck with 2 Lillas, so expect that in the future. Of course, Beanstalk, Binding, really good. Just like the last deck. So this deck did cut a Wandering Mind for a Lilla. Helix, pretty good removal spell. Buzz Crusher for Lotus Field. And we have Fable and the Mirror Breaker because this is a really good card with Command for Artifact Hate, Clarion for Sweeper, and Ego for combo decks. That is the main board. Sideboard, we have 2 Fatal Pushes for aggro, 3 Vetoes for control and combo, 2 Ashioks for Graveyard Hate, 2 Cabals, pretty good against combo. We have an adjacent to that, a Running Volley Catch-All removal spell, Notion Thief for the Phoenix matchup, Quakebringer for Amalia, and we have Scarab God for mid-range. So it's a really good spell. It's hard to answer and kill forever. So that is our 5-color Niv Delight. Let's get into the last list. Last on my list is Mono Black mid-range. This deck is trying out a single copy of Tiny Bones, 4 copies of the new Snake Horse mount. It's also picking up a copy of the Advance, which lets them draw 3 cards, lose 3 life, which is really powerful with Shieldred. Now, this is not a typical, devotion style list. It's a just stock mono black devotion, mono black mid-range with 3 invoked despairs. So that's really sweet. Of course, this deck picks up the Advance with Shieldred to help offset the 3 life. And we have Aetherborn for aggro. We have Preacher of the Schism for pretty good against aggro decks, and Trespasser for the graveyard decks like Phoenix. We do have our 4 Thoughtseize, typical, and 4 Pushes for the aggros. So that's typical stock mono black stuff right there. Sideboard, though, we do have 2 Duresses for combo and control, 2 Damping Spheres for Lotus Field, 2 Bank Busters for mid-range and control, 2 Ashioks for Graveyard Hate / Amalia. We have 1 Meathook Massacre for aggro, Knight of the Dust Legion Shadow for Amalia, 1 Blowout for the Vein Ripper matchup, 1 Necromentia for combo. We have 2 Path of Perils for aggro with Extinction Event for aggro. That is mono black for Pioneer. I do always wonder why these decks don't play a single one of land that could tap for white, just in case they ever want to cleave a Path of Peril, but I guess it's not really necessary. And it gets card advantage from castles, 4 copies, so that's really powerful against other mid-range decks and the control mirror matchups, so keep that in mind. Any of these decks you guys want to see, they are in the description. What deck did you like the most? What new cards do you think are awesome that these decks are featuring? Let me know all that down in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification before you head out that door. And until next time, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.